I'm doing a quick tutorial on 3ML Editor. My wife asked me to do this a while ago to help out some of her friends, and those who don't know her, but whatever. 3ML Editor is common with people who play Mabinogi, MapleStory, and other games where you edit music into a 3ML format. And when you first get it, it's all in Japanese. And what you want to do is you want to set the language, which is over here, to English if you don't know how to read Japanese. And some computers can't even translate it, so you just get a bunch of squares. So just 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the fifth one. It's the second from the bottom. And it would be the second one right there. Now, a lot of people who download the 3ML editor, when they look at the instrument, it has every instrument known to mankind but what's on the game they're playing. You can get ones for specifically Mabinogi, Maple Leaf Story, whatever game it is you're playing. You see, mine has every instrument for Mabinogi, even ones that are not in America yet. I even have the birds here that sing. Like the cello and the violin and the piano aren't an American server yet. And the snare drum, the actual snare drum sound is not in the American server. Some of these are Japanese only, Korean only. So yeah. Now when you first get it, it has another window open on the side here that tells you information about track layers and stuff. You don't need that. I do this way, this view here, because originally they look like that. You don't need that. Just that. Makes it simpler and easier because you don't need that information on the side now. You notice there's a keyboard here. Now, even though the keyboard, it does make noise when you push the buttons. And it sounds nice, but it doesn't record onto here. Which does provide problems at times. All the recording is done down here. See? And you got different octaves. You got octaves 1 through octave 8. Most games only use octave 2 through 6. If you have a guitar on Mabinogi, you do octave 1 through 7, except for their middle octaves are kind of broken. Especially their A octaves. Their A notes don't work at all. They're A sharps. But whatever. Now, this is going to be for a brand new person into this who doesn't know how to make their own songs very good. They just need the practice. So I'll show you how to get a good song on there without having to make it from scratch until you get better with it. So you start out with something like this. Alright, then you go to import standard MIDI. Now, if you have any song in a MIDI format, put them in a file, and if you're smarter than me, you would organize that file. Mine's not very organized. I just put everything into one jumper mesh, which kind of gets annoying. Now, you see, it does this. Now, it won't select all the notes, and it only could do up to 16. It selects what it believes is important, which is usually pretty good. And some of these aren't readable by Mabinogi or other games. So when you say it has 13 selected here, you hit OK. Sometimes only 5 will pop up because the others are unreadable because they're for MIDI purposes only. But you try to select up to 16 if you can, and do that. Now there is a bug. The track 10 does not play on this. It will play on Mabinogi, it will play on every game, but it will not play on the player. So what you to fix that? Oops. You select all, you copy, you add a new track, then you paste, and then you go to track 10 and remove it. Now you get something that looks like this. Now you notice the tracks there are kind of all goobly-gart. You know, you see this down here. It's hard to read, and you notice there's some of these have a lot of notes, like that one, 2000. Now to fix that, you go to track, you go to optimization option, and you optimize all tracks. What this does is it compresses all the notes into a more readable format. And you see that 2000 went to 1500. Right? It makes it easier to edit, easier to read, and shortens the notes. And then you hit play so you hear what it sounds like. Now you notice everything sounded like gobbledygook because its default is everything's on the same instrument. So, first thing you do is you find notes that don't seem important or relevant. Which songs like this can be hard, but there's some songs where you see a note, it'll be in C minor throughout the whole song and doesn't change at all. Well, those have no relevance to Mabinogi. I mean, you could put a flute or something on it, but it would just play that continuous note throughout the entire song. It gets very annoying. So if you want to be one of those bastards that like being annoying, well, go right ahead. But I tend to just remove them. It shortens the track out and it makes it easier to pick. Now, you want to play around with instruments. Stuff like the ukulele. These low notes are the bass. Ukulele and lute tend to do very good with this low key notes, as I'll do right here. Middle to high notes tend to be good with mandolin, ukulele, lyre, lute. Lute kind of makes that more defined sound, and the mandolin makes more of the higher pitch sound. We'll do the lyre for this. For the middle, we'll do the mandolin. Here, we'll do lute. Okay, and then you play just to get an idea of how it sounds. Now, it still sounds... Now, if you notice, it still kind of sounds like garbage. So what you do is you hit this to mute that track. So you can determine which track is making it sound like garbage. Because most of these tracks on a MIDI have multiple layers within itself. But Mabi can only read that one layer. So it simplifies it and puts it all into one layer. Right, and then you figure out that sounded like it was a mandolin note. So you do that. It's another reason why you separate all the instruments out right away, so you can easily determine which instrument is making the bad noise. See? Alright, so that starts to sound a little better. Then you remove those tracks. Because usually if they sound like garbage at the beginning, they're not going to sound any better at the end. So now I made my track selection more easier. Now, for those of you making a solo, it's kind of tricky because you're going to have to eliminate majority of the song. Mabinogi can only read 3 layers per instrument. And it's very limited in the amount of notes it can read. At rank 1, it's 1200. at rank 1, it's 1200, 800, 600, and it gets less and less with the worse rank that you are. Uh, so it makes it really hard. I tend to do, uh, duets, trios, and whatever, because I don't like editing out a song. It makes it hard. Also, down there is how many notes it is. That's too long. So what you do is you take the longest note, which would be this one, right? And then you edit down until it fits. Your note limit. And then let's say this is your note limit. Well, then you play the song up to here to see if that's a reasonable spot for it to end. If it's not, work with it. Some songs you can, some songs you can't. For more advanced people, they could actually edit out like middle parts of the song and whatnot and make it fit. For new people, don't try to do that right away. Not until you get better, because all these are automatically synchronized. You mess around with any of the notes that are already preset, it can destroy the entire synchronization, and it can be a very painful process to fix it if you don't know what you're doing. So, if you just want to get a song up real quick, don't mess around with the actual notes themselves. Just edit the overall length of the song, not don't go to the middle and cut out parts of the middle, and then when you play it, it sounds off key. Well, that's why, because you messed around with the synchronization of it. And then, if cutting out a certain, like if I cut out this layer down to what's readable for Mabinogi, it would end near the beginning. So you just eliminate that altogether. Now, more advanced people, they could work with that and edit it all the way out without deleting it. So then you're left with something like this. Now for a solo, you just determine which 3 tracks are the most important. And you do that by muting certain tracks, leaving certain 3 tracks playing around with that. And then you delete the rest. And you pick the instrument you want to play for, so you know how it sounds, blah, blah, blah. Now, the first track usually is blank. It just has the tempo and nothing else. Sometimes it actually has notes to it, which is sometimes annoying because it takes up a whole nother track spot you have to listen to. It's a lot easier. It just has a tempo. Then you could put the tempo on the tracks and then delete track 1. And then you have less tracks to work with. But it is what it is. So you take the tempo. Now some have multiple different tempos, and some have only one tempo. For beginners, just take a tempo that sounds fine and use that. The maximum tempo is 250. I think 50 is the lowest. And now what I tend to do is I put the tempo and volume on all the tracks, because sometimes there's a copy and paste error onto Mabinogi, and it won't read the tempo sometimes. So if you put it on all the tracks, it eliminates that. Plus, it makes it easier if you want to make some minor edits and change the notes to different instruments. Then you don't have to do that. So you hit T for tempo. This one's 134. Alright, and then you hit V for volume. 1's the lowest, 15's the highest. If you want people to actually hear what you're playing, you do 15. That eliminates a lot of people overplaying you because they can't hear you play. Mabinogi default, I believe it's anywhere between 8 and 10, depending on how quiet the song already is to begin with. And then to make those. Now, if you're making a duet or a trio, you could play around with different volumes to make more instruments more profound than others. Now, a lot of people tend to forget to do this. It's called tune notes. Tune notes aren't necessary for solos because you got those skills that make you auto perfect. But if you want to do regular playing or duets or whatever, you need tune-in notes so you know everybody's on the same key. Now the numbers of how many tune notes put in vary depending on composers. A lot of people tell me they do 32. I just do 8. 8 can cause problems because you can actually get the tune right and still get the song wrong. But that's because it fills up character marks every time you put it in. So I only do 8 because 8 seems sufficient. So to do that, you pick a note. Doesn't really matter. I tend to do C because it's easy. C, and then you do and C. The reason why I do that is so it makes it one long continuous note. So then it goes like this. Now, if there's a mess up in the tune, when you tune it, it might sound something like this, Well, or play all the individual notes or do some rambling. That's how you know you messed up. If it's not synchronized, you messed up. And that's why you do tune notes. And then you got the complete finished product. It should sound something a little like this. Now you notice this makes it easier. You label the tracks of what instrument they go for. You organize it between longest, second longest, shortest to make copy and paste easier. And then you play the song to hear what it sounds like. See if it's good enough to copy and paste. It sounds pretty good, right? So then you go here, you go to export to clipboard, and there you go. You see, it's already organized, and you copy. And it tells you what rank minimum you need to be to get those notes in. Voila! And then say you're doing. You notice there's only 2 ukuleles, so you do 2, and there you go. Yeah, 1200 is as high as it goes. I got 1206. Means it won't play it. It will still play it. It won't play the last 6 notes, which is it's fine. No one will really notice. It's on the bass. But yeah, that's how you do it. And if you have any questions, just mention a comment on either my page or my wife's page, and we'll answer it. Mine is Charles Casterline, my YouTube channel, and my wife's is Alexis99. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something, and I hope you enjoy your day. Thank you.